What causes a defending champion to falter the following year?
The Rams. Has there been a Super Bowl champion that has fallen this far, this fast? I can't think of one.
Is the Super Bowl hangover real? Let's look at the NFL franchises that won the Super Bowl, yet failed to qualify for the playoffs the following season. Green Bay Packers, 1968. The 1966 season ended with the Packers victorious in Super Bowl I, so fans were interested to see how the team would follow that up. Despite dealing with injuries and roster changes, the Packers managed to finish the 1967 season at 9-4-1 and a trip to the playoffs, where they absolutely dominated. The postseason was highlighted by the team's victory in the NFL Championship game. In what became known as the Ice Bowl, they played in negative 13-degree temperatures, as well as negative 25-degree wind chill. The Packers defeated the Cowboys to advance to Super Bowl II, where they became the first back-to-back champions. Could they three-peat? I guess the answer was no. By 68, the roster was beginning to show its age and the injuries that accompanied an older team, notably star quarterback Bart Starr, who had missed time while hurt. In addition, renowned head coach Vince Lombardi had retired prior to the season. Kansas City Chiefs, 1970. The Chiefs marched through the playoffs and finished the season as the winners of Super Bowl IV over the heavily favored Vikings. Kansas City entered the 1970 season as the defending Super Bowl champions. Unfortunately, the Chiefs were not up to the task. They didn't have a bad season, not by any means. In fact, they finished with a 7-5-2 record that was surprisingly not good enough for a playoff berth. They still possessed a dominant defense, but a series of roster moves, such as trading running back Mike Garrett and aging roster, well, this all added up to weakening the team's offense. Pittsburgh Steelers, 1980, 2006, and 2009. The Steelers have failed to make the playoffs this season after winning the Super Bowl 3 separate times now, tied with the Giants for the most times in NFL history. As the winners of 4 Super Bowls, the Steelers were the most dominant NFL team in the 1970s. Coming off back-to-back titles in 1978 and 1979, Pittsburgh was looking for a three-peat in 1980. However, due to a declining core, key injuries to wide receiver John Stallworth, a weakened defense, and a 9-7 record, the Steelers failed to gain a playoff berth. Starting quarterback Ben Roethlisberger had an emergency appendectomy before Week 1 and struggled upon his return. While the Steelers won their last 6 games of the season, their 2-6 start was just too much to overcome. The 2009 season saw Pittsburgh once again try to defend a Super Bowl title, only to miss the playoffs yet again. This time, it was a mid-season 5-game swoon, costly blown leads, and defensive injuries that cost the Steelers. Oakland Raiders, 1980. In 1980, the Oakland Raiders completed the regular season with a record of 11-5. They made the playoffs, and they would make NFL history as the first wildcard team to win a Super Bowl, when they beat the Eagles by a score of 27-10 in Super Bowl 15. Looking to repeat as champions in 1981, the Raiders would go on to miss the playoffs due to several factors. The first issue that hindered Oakland's bid for another title was the horrible play by the quarterbacks. Secondly, the defense fell to last in the NFL with a negative 16 turnover differential. Finally, team owner Al Davis caused a major distraction in the locker room over his bid to move the team to LA. San Francisco 49ers, 1982 strike season. Under the guidance of head coach Bill Walsh and behind the play of future Hall of Famers such as Joe Montana and Ronnie Lott, the 1981 49ers steamrolled over the NFL to a 13-3 record and victory in Super Bowl 16. The championship would be the beginning of the 49ers dynasty throughout the 80s. However, the dynasty would have to officially wait until 1983, because 1982, well, it was not a good year in San Francisco, or really, the NFL. The 82 season started with the players' strike that cost the league the first 7 weeks of the season. With only a 9-game season, there was not a lot of margin for error. The 49ers stumbled immediately, though. The dreaded championship hangover and a reported drug problem in the locker room would sabotage San Francisco's season. New York Giants, 1987, 1991, and 2012. In 1987, the New York Giants were looking to defend their first Super Bowl title. Unfortunately, the season started with the players' strike, and the Giants' replacements began the season at 0-3, which rose to a 0-5 start once the regular players actually returned. Following their second Super Bowl title in 1990, the Giants were once again unsuccessful in making the playoffs. This time, it was due to a massive coaching change. Head coach Bill Parcells and defensive coordinator Bill Belichick both left the club, and Ray Handley took over the coaching duties. His decision to name Jeff Hostetler the starting quarterback was just the first of many decisions decisions to be criticized in and out of the locker room. Coming off a win in Super Bowl 46, the Giants began the 2012 season at 6-2. Despite that start, Eli Manning struggled in the second half, and the Giants finished with a 3-5 start. The 9-7 record just wasn't good enough for the playoffs. Washington Redskins, 1988. Although the 1987 season was impacted by a players' strike, the Redskins managed to ride out the use of replacement players to secure a victory in Super Bowl 22. They finished the season with an 11-4 record and a Super Bowl win over the Broncos. As the defending champions, Washington was ready to defend their title in 1988, or at least they thought they were. The defense only forced 22 turnovers, while the offense committed 46 of them. And finally, injuries to the offensive line and a lack of solid running game contributed to the team's 7-9 finish, which put them outside of the playoffs. Denver Broncos, 1999 and 2016. Coming into the 1999 season, the Broncos were riding high off their back-to-back Super Bowl titles. However, the 1999 season would see two massive changes to the Denver squad that would prevent a third straight title. After winning the Super Bowl in 1997 and 1998, longtime quarterback John Elway decided to retire. Replacing a future Hall of Famer is difficult, especially when the team hopes to continue to win. Unfortunately, neither Bubby Brister nor Brian Griese were up to the challenge. The second major lineup hole was the loss of running back Terrell Davis, who would be lost for the season with a devastating knee injury. Those two losses resulted in a 0-4 start to the season and a 6-10 finish, keeping them out of the playoffs. Unsurprisingly, the 2016 Broncos missed the playoffs for some of the same reasons as the 1999 squad. First, the 2016 team was now dealing with the retirement of their star quarterback. Trying to replace Peyton Manning with Trevor Siemian was not an idea that worked out well for Denver. The offense regressed, and although the team finished 9-7, it was not good enough for a playoff berth. New England Patriots, 2002. The Tom Brady era in New England was one of the most impressive eras in pro football history. And that all began in the 2001 season when Brady replaced an injured Drew Bledsoe at quarterback. When the dust finally settled on Brady's rookie season, the Patriots were the winners of Super Bowl 36 over the Rams. When the 2002 season began, we still didn't know the legend that Brady would become, so fans were pretty interested to see how number 12 would follow up his Super Bowl winning season. Well, the Patriots finished the 02 season with a winning 9-7 record, but it was not good enough for the playoffs. The biggest issue facing the Pats was, well, Tom Brady. The QB played the entire season with a shoulder injury that really hampered his performance. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 2003. The 2002 season was the greatest season in Tampa Bay Buccaneers history. The team finished with a 12-4 record and won the franchise's first championship when they defeated the Oakland Raiders in Super Bowl 37. That 02 team, led by future Hall of Famers Warren Sapp and Derek Brooks, had one of the greatest defenses in NFL history, leading the league in takeaways and allowing the least number of points that season. How would the Bucs follow up their franchise-altering season in 2003? Well, by missing the playoffs. The Tampa squad in 2003 just was not the same, and the team struggled to a 7-9 record. Off-field issues also played a role, as a power struggle developed between head coach John Gruden and the front office. Baltimore Ravens, 2013. Baltimore finished the 2012 regular season by finishing in first place in the AFC North. Under head coach John Harbaugh, the Ravens would go on to commence an amazing playoff run. The team had already dedicated the season to owner Art Modell, who had passed away earlier that season. And once Ray Lewis announced that the season would be his last, the team rallied around the longtime defensive standout. In the playoffs, the Ravens would defeat the Colts, Broncos, and Patriots before facing and beating the 49ers in Super Bowl 47. Regrettably, like several other defending champions, the Ravens were not up to the task of defending their title. Obviously, the loss of key leaders such as Ray Lewis weakened the team's overall defensive play, but the offense took the biggest step back in 2013. The running game, which was essential to the Ravens' game plan, fell apart, and the team finished the season ranking 30th in the league in total rushing yards. Despite the pitiful season, the Ravens still had a chance to make the playoffs heading into the final weeks of the season, but unfortunately, they lost to the Bengals in order to miss out on the playoffs. Los Angeles Rams, 2022. The reason that Los Angeles missed the 2022 playoffs was related to the events of the 2021 season. You see, the Rams adopted an all-in philosophy for 2021 that saw the team trade for star players such as quarterback Matthew Stafford, linebacker Von Miller, and of course sign free agent wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. The strategy worked as the Rams developed one of the strongest passing games in the league that saw receiver Cooper Kupp to go on to lead the NFL in receptions, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns as the Rams won the Super Bowl. The 2022 issues would stem from injuries to key personnel like Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp on offense and Aaron Donald on defense. Actually, Los Angeles would go on to place the third most players on injured reserve that season. However, it was that all-in plan that wrecked the Rams' Super Bowl defense. The Rams would struggle to a 5-12 record in 2022 that would ultimately result in a failure to defend their title. But what do you think is the most heartbreaking failure to repeat as a Super Bowl champion? Was there anything that we may have missed? Let us know in the comment section below. If you liked this video and learned a thing or two, then hey, clicking the like button helps us out a ton. And you know, we really appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, then subscribing is a great idea, because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.